Hi, I'm Frank Crenshaw. Today we're going to talk about my favorite technique for masking canopies, and that's using Parafilm M. I first heard about Parafilm M back in the early 1990s when a fine scale modeler had posted about using Parafilm M in one of their articles, not as masking, but as a masking technique for camouflage. So a bunch of us went out and bought Parafilm because it was the latest and greatest, and pretty quickly I think most people decided they hated it. One day I was reading the old Rec Model Scale news group, and I ran across an article where a gentleman whose name I've long forgotten had commented on how he was using Parafilm to mask canopies, and I followed his advice, and I had a great success, and I've been using Parafilm ever since. So I'm gonna show you that technique, and maybe it'll help you out in your modeling. Parafilm works really good. This is a 32nd scale Ki61 canopy already masked. This is a 72nd scale Ki61 canopy already masked. A 1/100th P40E canopy masked. It's a pretty versatile, easy to use, it just take a little practice and getting used to, because it is not a modeling product. It's not a normal way we would do things. Okay, so first thing you do is you cut a piece of Parafilm M, and then you stretch it. This activates it. Now Parafilm seems to have two sides, but it really doesn't. They're all identical. And to start masking with Parafilm, what you must do is you must drape the Parafilm onto the part. And we're going to work in sections. I'm only going to work on this left side here. I'm not going to do the whole canopy, and that's because we just don't have time for it. I don't want to make you sit here for 30 minutes while I mask a canopy. Okay. So we have Parafilm draped on one side, and I'm going to trim it up because, again, I don't want a lot of overhang or any of that. I just want it on the parts. I'm going to mask that, and that, those three sections of windows. Now we must actually do more than one layer of Parafilm in order for this to work. That is because while Parafilm is a barrier, it's not entirely impervious to certain solvent type paints, such as enamels or even lacquers. If you don't do multiple layers, Parafilm can actually weld to the canopy because the paint will sort of react through it and literally weld the whole thing to the canopy. So multiple layers is critical. Okay, so we now have 2 layers of Parafilm on there. I've got a little thing stuck in there, but that doesn't matter. Again, I'm going to trim it. If you really want to, you can go as many layers of Parafilm as you want. I typically do 2 myself, and I really don't have any trouble. I paint with Tamiya paints, Gunzy. Lately I've been using Mission Models paint. But anyway, 2 layers works for me, so I'm just going to go with 2 layers. I'm going to zoom in so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so the next piece of this is you have to have a very sharp blade. I use scalpels, and the scalpels I use are these halve scalpels that you can get online, the carbon steel non-sterile scalpels. I'm not going to even use a handle. I have very good control just using my 2 fingers. So I'm going to anchor the model part to the bench, and then I'm just going to drag the knife along the panel line, where the panel line is. And I'm not going to use much pressure at all. Just a drag. The key is to be able to see the panel line. Once I see it, I have no trouble just dragging along it. Very gentle. This is not a hard cutting process. Now I want to work in sections, so I'm literally going to cut this Parafilm right down where the canopy separates. I'm doing that because I'm going to start weeding the part from the Parafilm, and I don't want it to pull up the other Parafilm. So Okay, weeding complete. And so this part of the canopy is masked. Now, if you need to go in and touch it up, like if there's a rounded corner or if the parafilm is slightly sticking out, all you got to do is just push on it with a toothpick. And you can sharpen the toothpick if you want to. I don't even do that anymore. I just use the end of the toothpick. And this pushes the parafilm where it needs to be. So this is perfect for if you have a curved angle, or a, you know. Anyway, so that parafilm is now in there very well. All right. So we'll move on to the next section, which is this little window right here. I'm always angling the parts so that I have a good view of the panel line. If I can see it, it's very easy to do this. Where you get into trouble is when you're not quite sure where it is. And we'll do the other one. Okay, I'm going to start weeding from this side. And I'm actually going to cut the parafilm in half. Well, this weeding is important because it's where you find out if you did a good cut or see how it pulled that up, which means I got to go back over it very gently. You see, we accidentally pulled up some of this. That's where you got to be careful with it. But it's no big deal. You just push it back down. I'm just going to trim it this time because it looks like it's overrunning the panel line. Okay, there you go. So that's done. Use my tweezers. It doesn't look like that was even cut. Okay, so there you go. And it's just push the parafilm around a little bit, make sure it's where you want it. There you go. That's a mask canopy. So again, Parafilm is very easy to use, very versatile, one of my favorite modeling tools ever. Thank you for paying attention, and I hope this tip helps you as much as it helped me. Bye.